hit multiple times coming out of that bike section. More drivers coming to blows.
Greetings, race fans, and welcome back to the inaugural season of Sim Racers Group Formula 3 Racing on SMB. JR Gregory here with you on the call. Beside me in the commentary booth, my partner Charles Boshell, and tonight's producer is Mike Braun. And after throwdowns at Imola, Gilles Villeneuve, and Spa-Francorchamps, are we going to break our streak of past and present F1 tracks for F3 racing? Well, tonight's race is at Sebring International Raceway, which was Hendricks Army Airfield from 1941 to 1946. And at the end of World War II, gearheads did what gearheads do when they see acres of unused tarmac create a racetrack. Alec Ullman was the guilty party here, an engineer who wanted to build an American racing facility to rival Cirque de la Sarthe in France. The first endurance race was held here at Sebring in 1950, and since that time, yes, Sebring has played host to Formula One as well as the World Endurance Championship, IMSA, Trans Am, and many more. Today's configuration, 3.7 miles and 17 corners. The record of 141.800 was set in 2019 by Kobayashi in a Toyota LMP1 machine, and that record safe, I think, for the time being. Charles, these F3 cars and their drivers have been performing beautifully so far this season, and tonight they have to deal with the unforgiving concrete blocks of Sebring. So what are your keys to tonight's race?
Yeah, JR, it's going to be a great race. This is a great track combination to go with this car. And for tonight, 3 that I've kind of pulled out. You got to be brave through turn 1. It's one of those corners I like to call almost flat. Is if you get the line just right, you can basically just take that corner flat. Otherwise, it's a little breeze to get the car stable through the corner, but it's still very, very fast. Secondly, you got to be smooth on the brakes, especially in turn 3 and turn 7. Those are going to be prime passing opportunities. And then finally, be respectful of the bumps in Sunset. You can take that corner with a great rate of speed. You're going to be coming down the Ullman Straight, going into Sunset, but you want to be smooth through there. You want to keep that momentum going so you can get a good run back down the front straight to start the next lap. And that might be a good prime drafting, overtaking area, is that run down the front straight into turn 1. So that's what I'm going to be looking for tonight.
And folks, if you could not tell from that enthusiastic overview there by my partner, he is a big fan of this track car combination and put down some pretty good laps out here on the lead into this. My laps nowhere near, and of course I didn't ask Mike Braun to join me. He is the 3K rated driver, and he would have handed me my ass as usual. But some pretty good times stacking up here in practice so far. A 1:54.8 already for Skylar Vickroy, which is shocking, Charles. That track is roasty hot. We're using Freedom units here, so I'm not as familiar, but 127 Fahrenheit sounds pretty hot to me.
Yeah, that is really hot, and I had the great pleasure of going down to Sebring for the final Super Sebring event in 2023, I believe. But it was still warm, but it wasn't 128 on the track. But yeah, that's hot, and you'll lose probably somewhere around a half a second or so per 10 degrees. So, my lap time out here would probably be somewhere in the 56s. I would say would be a good estimate. So these guys and gals have got their work cut out for them today.
My goodness, and look at Bolly drifting that F3 car, and I'll tell you, that looks cool, folks, but you cannot sustain that over a 25-minute race. We have already seen tire wear create problems for these drivers in way better conditions than this, and we're going to ride along with Bolly through that Sunset Bend. You notice he's staying away from the inside there, and I got a rough lesson there myself. You cut that too close. I'm a GT3 driver. I'm used to kind of bouncing through there, but these cars will not tolerate taking a tight line through Sunset, which may change up some of the passing opportunities that can occur there. Sunset is a corner with many lines, but that one all the way on the inside is going to be circled in red for these guys tonight.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to try those bumps tonight. Obviously, with the extreme heat on the track, that's going to make that tire wear even more pronounced. So, we were looking at that last 5 minutes of the last couple of races we were at as being crucial to those rear tires. We may see that another 5 minutes advance tonight. So you may, midpoint of the race, you may see some cars start getting a little squirrely out there on the track. So it'll be something we'll have to keep an eye on, as we've got Balak here coming down through out of 7 through 8 and 9 into, is this Cunningham or Collier? I never can get those right. It's one or the other, and then here comes the other one. As we get down here, we're headed down in the tower, and I think I'll use my one piece of knowledge here, little factoid. I think that there's a section of corner in tower that is still the original concrete from 1950 that has never been replaced. So, which is a little interesting piece of trivia.
Yeah, and Bolly absolutely flogging the hell out of this F3 car right now, and telling you folks, that is definitely not sustainable. It is fun to be sure, but it is not going to, those tires are not going to be doing any favors if you try to get that out of them for 25 minutes, and we'll ride along with Bolly just a minute longer here. Watch him come through Sunset. He kind of gets close to that first section of curb, staying away from the inside there. I'm going to call that the GT3 happy zone and the F3 death zone. So we're not going to see many people in there. If we do, they're going to be sorry. And Charles, look at that timing tower. We're used to seeing a pretty tight kind of intervals between these drivers out here, and we're not seeing that tonight. It's we only get down to P5 to get in excess of 1 second difference between these times that we're seeing in the bottom driver all the way out to 7 seconds. So some of these drivers able to deal with this roasting hot track and bouncy track at Sebring, and some of them not having as easy a time.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's right. I think the faster the track, the more the more speed, and obviously there's a little bit of technical involved in that, especially in that middle sector. But you've got those big, long straightaways, and as we said, respect the bumps here. Those bumps will absolutely just jar you around and make the car. It'll make you think the car is doing things that it's not doing. It's really kind of strange, the effect that those bumps have. As you're bouncing around through some of those corners, it feels like it might be trying to get away from you. So maybe people just off their lap times just a little bit out of an abundance of caution.
Yeah, it definitely takes a lot of trust as these F3 cars kind of skitter across this bumpy surface. This is a fixed setup race, and if you're a driver who might like a little kinder setting on the dampers here, you can't do it. You're stuck with whatever iRacing has dished out for this event, and given that they have dished out this hot track, they may not be feeling very friendly toward our competitors tonight. But qualifying now underway. Have a 15-minute open qualifying session here, and cheers again to Sim Racers Group for having open qualifying. It's the way they do it in real life. It adds some strategy and adds some kind of wild cards and unexpected occurrences. So I'm all for open qualifying, but here we go. A 15-minute session here, Charles, and we saw some very, very fast times in that practice session. So we should be seeing some quick ones here too. Oh my goodness. And call a medic. That was definitely at least a headache. That hard impact there into that Armco. And Mike, maybe while we're getting our tires warm and getting our out lap out of the way, we can pull up those season points so far. And a new wrinkle, folks, we are adding team points here this time, and we'll get to that in a second. But at the top of our rankings there's case for Mikovits from Adam Thompson, who missing his second week in a row. And fans of Adam, there are 2 drop weeks. He's burning them now, and I expect him to be in the hunt for the title down the stretch of this 12 race season. But right now he's dropping a little bit each of these 2 weeks that he's missing. And there is the rest of your grid there. You got Eggert, Green, Vicroy, Paborgi, Corwin, Mikovits listed twice. That's obviously an error. And Cotcher, and I'm going to say Duvall, is rounding out the top 10 due to that double listing. And we'll scroll that on down, and that is going to cover our entire 38 car field. Few folks there at the bottom not scoring. And here are your team standings, and I guess I should have paid a little closer attention to the teams when we were looking at the drivers. But teams pretty tight up at the top there, Charles. The top 5 ranging from 166 down to 105, and who the heck is SRG6 leading with 166, followed by the Slow-Mo Bros Green Posada. Oh, I like that. Vibes-based racing team and Team Egg Tran. So we will keep an eye on those points as well. This is our first time seeing those, so we'll probably give you a little more interesting presentation of the team situation in the next round. But there you go. Our second lap here now underway. It takes a little bit, Charles, for these tires to get some heat in them, but we should be getting some times down soon. Now these laps a little longer here at Sebring. We have seen some tire changes during qualifying in other sessions this year, but with the length of the lap here at Sebring, I'd be very surprised to see it tonight.
Yeah, I think on the good side is the tires with the track temp the way it is. The tires will warm up a little bit quicker, so you should be able to get your out lap done and be able to go full chat for that next lap. And yeah, it's one of those that it's kind of you could probably come in the midpoint and take tires and go back out, but who knows if you get back out there, you get stuck in traffic like this that we're watching there with Grunsky. And just like they're all jockeying for position, faster cars trying to work their way through. So it's going to be, none of these guys are going to be happy with this lap that they're working on now. So they're going to hope that they get a little separation between themselves for that next lap. Obviously, you do want to have a little bit of draft help if you can get it, but you don't want it to a point to where it's going to hamper you further on through the lap.
Yeah, and once again, we see these guys kind of pouring out of the pits at the very beginning of qualifying, and I think if I had a driver in this race, I might counsel them to take a breath and create some space in front of you instead of having to fight that traffic. We saw some pretty aggressive driving there for what was really the first lap that was going to count in a 15-minute qualifying session, but those times starting to come in. Eggert's put down a 1:56.2, and obviously we're going to see those times drop considerably as these tires get some heat in them. But right now it's Eggert from Green, from Lebivy, from Corwin, from Poborgi up front, and 10 minutes to go.
Yeah, and we were just looking at Cardenas, who went wide coming out of, I believe that was out of turn 1. So he's already messed his lap up. So have to reset. He'll kind of just work his way through at a slower pace to try and keep some tire life in those tires. As we're now here with Brashear, who is just came through. I don't see he does not have a lap time yet, so this is his. This will be his second flying lap. So I think maybe off track. Yeah, he got a couple off tracks on that first lap. So he'll be looking to find the gray stuff for the entire lap this time. These curbs, I don't think are going to unsettle these cars too awful much. I think the bumps are going to do most of the damage tonight. As we're on board here with the Velasco and the 777 coming around as we go set a time here is his out lap. That is his top time as on pole 1:56.08. So good jump over Eggert there, 0.2 of a second by Velasco.
Yeah, our producer Braun, his spider senses were tingling there, knew that Velasco was going to turn in a heater, and he did 1:56.0, and here comes Eggert, takes half a second out of that. So time's picking up here. And Charles, this is kind of a high pressure qualifying here at Sebring due to the length of these laps. I'm not that good at math, but it feels to me like they're going to have 6 or maybe 7 laps around to set a qualifying time, and any kind of error, any kind of damage that they pick up that requires repair is really going to blow up their qualifying. So they're going to have to push it and go fast, of course, but they're going to have to weigh that against the possibility of completely ruining their session.
Yeah, that's right. About 6 laps, I think. You'll get the out lap plus 6 hot laps. And that was brave by Poborgi there. He basically just was almost a half drift coming through turn 1, which is how you have to really take turn 1. You have to really attack it. You can't just lift and go through there, or you're going to lose a half a second to the rest of the drivers on track. You really have to push that corner to get a good lap time.
Yeah, too right, Charles. And if you guys have followed Sim Racers Group entire open wheel program, you'll know that last season these guys were driving F4 cars, and this is the faster end of the F4 field. They've moved up into these F3 cars, and something that they've been having to adjust to is the massive slip angle in these things. You didn't want to slide around in those F4 cars. It would absolutely kill your lap times, but these F3 cars are fine with it. Now, the tires are not fine with it, but you can put the power down and ride some pretty significant slip angle through some of these corners, as we are seeing. And qualifying, I mean, why not flog the hell out of these things? But again, tire wear has been a thing. And Charles, on this track and these conditions, I'm going to be looking at those rears to go out first tonight, and that's probably going to happen in the last 5 to 10 minute window, as we've been seeing at some of the higher tire wear circuits that we've been at.
Yep, I think you're absolutely right, JR. It's going to be one of those that we'll get about 5 good laps into this race, and then you'll start seeing cars with a little extra rotation in the rear as the tires start giving way, the heat gets in them, they just start losing adhesion. And you'll see it in those fast corners. You'll see it through Sunset. You'll see it through turn 1. You'll just start looking for it. You'll have cars that'll have to catch themselves. You may see cars off in the dirt on the exit of 1 as they're just kind of running through the grass to get down to turn 3. And you'll see them really having a lift coming through Sunset as you're getting on those bumps, as well as not having the grip that you had before. So you'll really have to, you'll start seeing some times just kind of drop off in that final sector. But that's going to what's going to make it interesting is how well can you control your car in the worst possible conditions, and that might be the biggest key to the race of all.
Yeah, I think that's probably true, and it may be a little bit of tortoise and hare here in this one. If you're can make it about halfway through and be in the top 5, I'm going to say you're going to have a good chance of taking the trophy at the end if you are able to get past people who haven't taking care of their tires. Not to beat a dead horse, but these cars are pretty serious little monsters. They're only 1,200 pounds, about 250 horsepower. So, your typical, M3 street car is north of 3,000. So to get that kind of power to weight ratio that these things have, that M3 would have to be putting down 600 or 700 horse. So these things are absolute monsters. And about 5 minutes left in qualifying now. Gregory has put down a heater of 155. 2 more or less. He took another bite out of it. Let's make that 155-1 just as I'm talking about him. So it's Gregory from Eggert, from Cotcher, from Green, from Bali, your top 5. Then Vlasco, Labivi, Pavorji, Snyder, and Lopez. And the time's starting to condense a little bit better now. It's taken all the way down to P8 to get that 1 second bracket, but the second is only 8 to P12, and then there's 2 and 3 second gaps from 13 down to 23. So wide range of lap times here, and with a 25-minute race, we are going to see traffic play a role for the leaders at the end of this. Right as their tires are going off, right as their concentration may be waning, they're going to be hitting back markers when potentially under pressure from behind. So as usual, the last 5 or 10 minutes of this one going to be hot.
Yeah, and I should see Mikovits and Duval both set a faster time. They've moved up on the board. Mikovits in 13th, Duval in 17th, so they've increased their position. And I think the difference is I think the drivers have finally realized, you know what, we don't need to be that close to each other. So you can look at the track map and see that the cars have spread out some as the drivers are just kind of finding a little bit of racing room here to set a good quality lap. The draft will help, but once again, maybe you don't want to be up as high as you think that you do. Maybe you should be fine with a top 10 instead of a top 5. You see Van Wagner just all kind of sideways coming through turn 5, but manages to keep on it. And I don't know if that was an off track or not. Kind of looks like it was as he's working his way down here into turn 7, the hairpin. Nice line through there. So he's got that one figured out, and he's got some cars in front. So he does have the ability to get a little bit of tow if he can get a little closer. Of course, that's Gregory right in front of him. So he's going to have to get up closer to the leader as we're coming around for this lap. So we'll see if he can make up a little bit of time. I think Gregory's got a little bit of traffic in front, so that might help Van Wagner out here.
Yeah, Van Wagner, though, I'm afraid might have invalidated this lap. Yeah. That was an awful lot of dirt he caught there going through 3 and 4. And some interesting order here, Charles. Look at Mikovits down in P15. He's usually lingering around up in the top 5. Same goes for Van Wagner and Corwin. So some of these guys, Mikovits 2 seconds off pole, Corwin 2.2 off. So some of these guys who are used to performing pretty well, really struggling on this hot bumpy track.
Yeah, and you did see we just were on board there with Mikovits, and he took that GT3 line through Sunset really up close to the wall. And I'm not sure that is the fast way around that corner for these cars. I think that might be a little dangerous, but obviously at some point you might have to find that line and make use of it. But I don't think qualifying is the time you want to do it.
Yeah, dangerous and tough to put the power down in Sunset there. You get to turn in, commit, and floor it, and you just kind of can't do that over that super bumpy section there on Sunset close to the curbing. And time ticking down now, and I see a few cars in the pits. We'll see if they're going to try a set of tires and to come back out, or Gregory may be satisfied with that fairly dominant half-second grip he has on pole right now. It's Gregory from Eggert, from Bali. Eggert and Bali very close together there, as you can see. Velasco within spitting distance of both of those guys, as well as is Cotcher. And Velasco and Cotcher, as I said, both in the pits right now. We'll see if they pull back out, or if they have just had enough for now and need to take a breath and steel themselves for what is going to be a very, very difficult race here on smoking hot Sebring. 1 minute left now, and if you're just joining us, the qualifying session is not going to abruptly end at that 15-minute mark like it does in some public server races. If you cross start finish before the timer hits 15, you'll get to finish that lap that you're on. So we're probably looking at a 16 or 17-minute qualifying session here. So we're watching Chris Cook coming through Sunset, leaving a little bit on the table. I usually like to use a lot more of the exit there, but Cook taking a kind of a conservative line, and we'll see what he does here in turn 1. And Charles, I'll tell you one thing I'm looking forward to in this race tonight: contested entries right there, side by side action into turn 1. We are gonna see it. It may not always be pretty, but some of these guys are going to be attempting to make a move right there coming off the pit straight.
You're absolutely right. And yeah, I was watching Cook as we were coming through Sunset, and he got about 2/3 of the way through Sunset and had to put a whole lot of opposite lock into that steering wheel. As he was losing the rear, he was a little narrow there through the corner, and I think the bumps kind of caught him out a little bit. As we're now on board here with Molina, a lot more. That's a better line through there, a little bit wider there through the exit. As you said, left a little bit on the table, could get a little closer to that outside wall, but still overall pretty good lap. And he's in P25 as qualifying is now past the 15-minute mark, and so these are the last of the flying laps.
Yeah, got a few cars still out there trying to improve. And is there anybody, Mike, that's threatening the top of the list here? I want to say no. Whoa! And right then and there, ask and you shall receive. Justin Snyder takes a huge bite out of his previous quick lap and jumps all the way up to P2, only 3/10 back of Vicroy. Now it's Vicroy from Snyder, from Poborji, from Eggert, from Bali. So Justin Snyder grabbing the bull by the horns and making something happen on that last lap. And just a couple more cars here. Looks like the 92, the 3, the 13, and the 76 here still circulating. And on that list, I don't see anybody threatening really the top 10. We'll hang with them, though, and see if they're able to improve on their positions. And that's a nice line. I like to get nice and close to that cone there so that you can really use the exit, which Duvall really not doing there, but does manage to move up. Looks like he moved up 2 or 3, took a couple ticks out. And here is Mikovits. And definitely, as I said, not having the time that we're used to seeing him have out here. Kind of rescues his own qualifying there, though. Jumped up from about P18 to P13, so he took a nice bite out, moved up 5. But still, to see Mikovits qualifying outside the top 10, pretty unusual for this series.
Yeah, it really is. As we've got, as qualifying's ended, we've got 11 cars that are within the 1 second of pole time. So there'll be some drafting going on this first couple of laps around, as those cars will stay pretty close together. And then we're within 2 seconds down to P18, as we've got one more car coming around. And I think he's already taken the checker flag. That's Dylan. As he comes across, and yeah, no change on his time at all. So that is the field done, and we'll just wait for the race session to start up, and we'll have our starting lineups.
Yeah, and Dylan definitely not listening to JR on that one. You saw him clipping almost clipping the inside of the curbing there on Sunset, and hitting those bumps. That F4 car 4 wheels off the ground as he was trying to put the power down. And I'm no physicist, Charles, but I think that contact patch needs to be on the ground if you're going to accelerate there onto the pit straight. But here is our starting grid. It's going to be Vicroy lining up next to Justin Snyder in row 1, then Poborji and Eggert in row 2. Bali will line up next to Velasco in 5 and 6. Tyrone De Silva next to Jason Cotcher in 7 and 8. Daniel Labivi next to Jason Green in 9 and 10. Then it's Corwin next to Adrian Lopez in row 6. Then it's the aforementioned Kalen Mikovits and SRG 6. You see that team name there. He is on the team leading the points right now, but he's got some work to do if he's going to continue making that contribution. He'll line up next to Dylan in row 7. Then it's Brashear next to Conway. Chris Wang next to Diego Posada in row 9. Then Adam Duvall next to Cardenas. Van Wagner all the way back in 21, not where we're used to seeing him, next to Chris Cook. Also Igor Grunsky will line up next to Jason Trantham in 23 and 24. And one more scroll will get us Molina next to Hagan. Neil Day next to Case in 28. Whoa, that's a story. Didn't even see that happening. Wow. And Ambriette Hyde there, she was probably just out for practice, probably not going to grid up. But what on earth is Case doing all the way in the back of the grid?
Well, because he didn't set a qualifying time. So I don't know if that's just he did that because maybe he didn't get enough practice. He felt like starting in the back was going to be better, or if maybe there was some penalty that we don't know about that maybe got handed down, got a qualifying ban or something. I don't know the penalty structure here, but either way, he's going to start from the back, so he's going to be the last to first challenge tonight for Case.
Well, folks, I've got that YouTube chat in front of me, so if you know the answer to that question, let me have it. But we are underway. Viceroy gets a smoldering start off the line, pulling away already. It's Viceroy from Poborji, from Snyder. Poborji managed to jump Snyder up into P2. Chris Eggert falls behind Bali. There's a little bit of shuffling going into turn 1 here on cold tires. We're going to go side by side into turn 3, 4, and 5 and head on to that first short straight section, heading into the hairpin for the first time. I see cold tires now and 25 minutes ahead. Are people going to exercise patience? Are we going to see our first couple of incidents here, Charles, underbraking into the hairpin?
So far, it looks like it's pretty clean. We do have a couple of cars that have fallen to the back. That's Mikovits and Conway, They're all the way back in the back. Look like they had some off tracks and did not see contact. So we'll just say they maybe just missed the corner. And so they had to just drop back and rejoin the field from there. So they'll have a little bit of work to do.
A little bit is an understatement. Mikovits losing 13 there, Conway losing 11, and Jason Green dropping 18 positions after pushing his way into the top 10 and qualifying. Green, has got a bitter taste in his mouth right now. And meanwhile, up front, it is Poborji, or Viceroy from Poborji from Snyder. And here we're going to see a little whoop. And there was contact, and my goodness, that is Green spitting body parts off, and we are in the big leagues now. Damage is on, and oh my goodness. And so
the 77 car.
Yeah, that's what started as a minor incident. Conway either not getting the yellow or not heating it, going through there hot and collecting green. So that's what happened to those two, and they are going to have to head back to the pits for repairs. And with a hard hit like that, it could be more repair time than is left in this one. So that could be a race-ending incident right there on lap 1, and you hate to see that happen, Charles.
You do, and I just kind of thinking back, it was Green did get a little loose and had to catch the car coming out of the corner. Oh, there's another contact there. That was I think that was a Lego car, and I don't remember the number, but I do remember the livery. As you see the contact there, just pushed wide, and there was a car on the outside. Did not see him. That's Bali in the 45, just in front of the Lego car. That is Velasco, maybe. So, no, 347, Snyder is who that was. They just pushed wide, did not realize that car was on the outside, then contact made off the track. But going back to the Conway incident with Green, he came in really shallow on that corner, the corner entry for turn 3, and jumped the curb and just kind of bounced. And basically, once he hit the ground, the brakes locked and slid into Green, and that was enough for Green. I think he has left the surfer. I think he's done for the day.
And that's kind of predictable. That is a huge hit and damage on, as I said, unlike the F4 series. So definitely could have been terminal damage by a couple cars here. Taking a look at Justin Snyder, speaking of that Lego car, and Snyder feeling racy and elbows out, having chucked one of his competitors into the grass, come out of turn one. So Snyder has moved, actually dropped 3 positions, qualified in P2, lost a couple, and looks like he is in a hurry to get those back. You're watching him right now with Velasco ahead. Velasco will move over, seeing Snyder coming in hot there, and doesn't want to give him that free toe off of the Ullman straight, heading into Sunset. And the inside line there, you see that Lego car kind of hanging the ass out, and yeah, definitely looks cool, feels good to pull it off, but is that sustainable for the next 20 minutes, Charles? I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I saw one of the cars come through there at the end of lap 1, and basically all 4 wheels off the ground, and they just kind of hit that bump on the inside. And that, as you said, that is not the preferred way to get around a corner. You have to have the wheels making contact. So you see, that's the 77 car on the outside. I think that's Conway. And that might be him coming out of the pits. He does have, I think he came in and used his fast repair, which is available to these drivers. So even though damage is on, they do have the ability to come in, take the fast repair, get back out, and maybe make up a few positions just as a recovery type drive. So it's not a total loss, which I think is good. I do like that sportsmanship. We see the 77. Yeah, he just could not get the car to turn the corner. And so he finally just stops and says, all right, okay, now we're going slow enough to the wheels will get me around Sunset, and I can get into the pits, hopefully. Yeah, that's a very slow lap back to the pits. So he came in, took his fast repair. As you can see him up there on the outside of the of turn 1. So we see the Chris Wang around with a little half spin there through turn 3. It's one of those heavy braking zones that is a good place to pass, but you have to have you can't be locking the brakes up there. You have to be smooth on those brakes through that corner.
And Wang on the paint there, and I've been kind of wondering with this new tire model, they've made that those lines a little slicker. In my own experience, I've been caught out a couple times trying to brake heavily with one tire on the painted lines, and that may be a little tweak that iRacing has done. And Charles, thanks for that correction. I didn't realize that fast repairs were available here, so there's no terminal damage, at least for your first crash. Yes. So you can go back, get that car repaired, and get back out and underway. And we're going to ride along with Poborgi bouncing over those bumps in turn 1. You see him catch a little bit of a slide there, and he has reeled in Viceroy. Viceroy looked like he was going to drive off initially, might have had a little bobble, and Poborgi all over him now. That is a 4/10 gap. The two of them driving off. Back behind them, about to the tune of about 4 seconds, is Bali, and he's pulling Velasco behind him about 7/10 of a gap. But Viceroy seeing some pressure now. It looked like he was going to get away easily. He certainly performed well in qualifying, but Poborgi not letting it happen, and Poborgi needs to stick with him here in this interior section of the track to make sure he is within drafting range when he gets back on that straightaway. Charles, I've heard you say it's a second, 1.2, and the closer you are, the better the draft. So I'm going to say it's maybe 0.7, 0.8, the sweet spot to really close down that distance. And we'll see what happens with these two. We're coming on to the Ullman straight now. I believe. Oh no, not quite. We're heading down into the Le Mans section, and we have seen. You're speaking of curbs earlier, and we have seen some of these high downforce cars get into trouble with the kind of shark tooth edges of these curbs in this section, particularly a couple big wrecks in IMSA, but so far so good for these guys. Now we are on the Ullman straight, and if you heard my history lesson at the beginning, that is named after Alec Ullman, the designer of this fantastic track, and looks like Viceroy is going to cover the inside there at least briefly, and goes back and takes the normal entry, but Poborgi all over him now, 3/10. Watch that gap on our timing tower down to 2. Poborgi is definitely going to have a run here down the straight. Is he going to challenge Viceroy into turn 1 this time?
And we're going to see real soon. And he's kind of looked to the inside and kind of backed out of it. and so he's gonna hold back and wait for another opportunity. He is picking up about 2/10 down the front straight and the back straight, and then that little short straight coming down into turn 7, he was actually picking up a 10th there. Seems like I was just kind of watching the gaps as they were running this last lap, and it just seems like Poborji, at least for the moment, is getting a lot better run out of the corners. It seems like he's able to get back up through the gears quicker. So he's able to gain on Vicroy every time they come out of a corner, but just not enough to try and get side by side to make a move. And it's probably a little early for that as we are on board here with Justin Snyder off the track there, recollecting the car coming out of 5 and coming down into, and there's a spin there. And that is on curbs, and that's what you were just talking about, JR. A little bit of curb action there, and it just got that car unsettled. And as he laid the power back down, car said nope and just spun around.
Yeah, and that exit of turn 5, one of the taller curbs around here. They're really trying to discourage you from running wide right there, and even a GT3 car will get severely unsettled right there. I'm imagining that these cars could actually even get high centered on that really high curb on the exit of 5, and you saw Snyder getting bitten there, and Snyder, things going from bad to worse, lost a couple off the start, now down 13 after qualifying in P2, running in P15 currently. So that Lego car, Charles, falling to pieces.
Yes, it is. One who is not is Stephen Case, who started in the back and is already up to P10. So he's having quite the run, up 18 positions already. Hard charger, indeed.
Case up 18, and I'm watching the YouTube chat. I still don't see anybody explaining to me why he didn't put a time down, but he's certainly making up for it now. His fast lap, a 1:55.9, so he's about 6/10 off of the pace being set currently by Vicroy, but he's certainly significantly faster than at least 3 or 4 cars ahead of him. So I'm liking Case to push forward into the top 5 here with 15 minutes remaining.
Yeah, it's obviously the further he gets up, the harder he is going to make those moves. Is now he's in a battle with Brashear, and he's made that move to get by. It was as we're watching Alex Velasco here in a battle with Bali. A little loose there coming out of 7 as he got back on the power. You have to be careful there. So the gap only 0.4 of a second. So Velasco is got his sight set on a podium.
Yeah, and Velasco looking really racy there, showing his nose, going into that hairpin, wants to remind Bali that he's back there and getting Bali driving in the rear view. And you know that it can be a strategy just to keep applying pressure to force a mistake. And I'll tell you, Charles, Sebring is a great place to force a mistake. When you were driving out here alone in practice, it is a high stress, high anxiety situation, especially with these tightly sprung Formula cars. And riding along with Velasco now, we'll see him come through Le Mans, see what kind of an exit he gets right here. So critical to put the power down clean out of Le Mans onto the Ullman Straight, and you can watch that gap dropping down to 0.5, and Velasco pulling over out of the slipstream right now. Maybe he wants to save his move here for turn 1, and we'll see. You know that Bali was watching that. Velasco kind of showing his hand, and here they come, and watch that gap, folks, in the orange there on our timing tower, and he's pulling out again. So Velasco not wanting to take it to Bali right now, and I was going to say, Charles, Poborji might be doing the same with Vicroy. He might be satisfied kind of taking it easy. We talked about saving tires early, and that might be what these two drivers are doing to save it for go time, because I'm telling you, this one is going to get messy toward the end.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a good strategy, is kind of waiting, not really trying to set the world on fire right now with your pace. And so he just said, you know what, I'll just pull out of the draft and I'll just run my normal line, or I'll run my normal pace, not get the extra benefit of the draft, and we'll save that for when we're going to need it here in a couple of minutes. So probably, we'll start seeing some issues out of these cars anytime now as we're about halfway through the race. So it could be we'll start seeing incidents happen I'll be looking especially at Le Mans. We're talking about the curbs there. That curb's flat, but for whatever reason, if you get out there a little too far extended on that outside curb at Le Mans, the next thing you know, you're nosed into that inside wall. As we see, Von Wagner just a little deep there through 7, has to recover it, and almost finds himself breaking some Legos. That's not something you want to step on during the race.
Definitely not. And iffy rear, oh my goodness, I almost misspoke horribly there. Iffy re-entry by Van Wagner there. And taking a look at Lebivy right now with Corwin ahead. And Lebivy been polishing Corwin's bumper for a couple laps now. And you see him on that Ullman Street. It's got that gap down to 0.3, 0.4, and definitely will have a run here out of Sunset. He said cautiously, not wanting to lay down the commentator's curse. And you see Lebivy a little over rotation there. And oh my goodness. So I made the commentator's curse, commented on the commentator's curse, and there it was as Lebivy gets all kinds of loose through Sunset, manages to save it, but those tires are screaming right now. He's going to have to take a breath to get any kind of traction back. And good news, Stephen Case coming up behind is going to want a piece of him within the next couple of laps.
Yeah, Stephen's on the charge. He's back up to P9, and he's right behind Lopez there. Just eyeballing it and finding out how he's going to make this move. As we see Lopez get wide, that's going to help. Case will get the run down the straightaway here to 7. It's going to take it to the outside as Lopez goes defensive down this straightaway, and it's going to be the last of the late breakers. And so far, it's even odds. And Lopez, and then Case makes a mistake coming out of 7 as well. So, got to be careful there. He's not in a place where you can just cut back across the track. Blind corner, you're not going to be able to see it. Good job checking the relative to make sure he was clear before he came back across the track to rejoin.
And Case had so much fun running through the field like a knife through hot butter. He is going to do it again. And that bobble going into the hairpin there, this outside move here, Charles, is doable. But Case trail braking a little bit too aggressively there. You see that F3 car spin, and Case taking a breath. He doesn't want to do this, but he knows he has to, and picks his gap and gets that car moving again. But Case all the way back down to P17 after pushing into the top 10. He's still plus 11, but my prediction of him making the top 5 took a serious hit right there as Case looping it in the hairpin.
Yeah, it's going to take something kind of dramatic for him to get up to the top 5. I mean, I think he'll probably get back up to the top 10 in pretty short order, as he's already started to work back up to Duval within a second. So he'll start making that climb once again, and hoping he can keep the car straight as Bally comes through there. Not straight at all. It's coming through 3, works his way through 4 and 5, and you can see the tires are already starting to fade on these cars, as now they're just having trouble getting back on the power coming out of these corners.
With only 10 minutes left, those rears are crying for mercy. And like I say, there's a lot of slip angle driving these things. It's kind of fun to get into the power and let the tail wag a little bit, but it is not sustainable as we see another little wiggle. Man, that curb on the exit of turn 5, so dangerous right there, particularly in this car. Just a little bit of a bounce there could send you into the barrier and potentially be race ending. And speaking of drama, Charles, something has happened between Viceroy and Poborgy. Viceroy has now dropped Poborgy like the prom date where you take your neighbor's daughter to the prom and take your first exit. Look at that gap now, 4 seconds. It's gone up 2 seconds since I just gave that horrible prom date joke. So Poborgy offended by my bad humor, but look at those gaps up front. Viceroy, Poborgy, and Bali each have 3 or 4 seconds behind. So the drama up front has completely evaporated in the last couple of laps.
It really has. I'm not really sure what happened to Poborgy. We'll get the lap time as they come through. He was 6/10 slower than Viceroy last lap. This one looks like it's going to be decidedly slower, so we'll see the lap time as it comes through. Viceroy comes across and sets a 55.2 versus Poborgy's 57.1. So yeah, there you can see 2 seconds lost just on that lap alone.
Yeah, there's those 2 seconds, and I've not to ring my own bell here, folks, but I predicted that rears were going to be a problem here at Sebring if people weren't real careful, and it's catching up to them. Actually earlier than I thought. About 10 minutes left, we started seeing those tails wagging a little more enthusiastically than they were initially, and we are going to see some offs. We're going to see some problems here coming down the stretch, somewhat predictably. Back to Lebivi now, forward to Corwin, and Corwin has been seeing that red 69 car in his rearview mirror for 4 or 5 laps now. He's doing a good job of managing that gap, but it can get pretty tiring driving in your rear view mirror. Hopefully Josh has his eyes forward here, but Lebivi hanging with him nicely, and actually one of the few tight battles on the track right now, although it looks like Velasco is reeling in Bali a little bit. He's got Bali under a second, so perhaps a contest developing for that last podium step.
Yep, maybe so. We'll see. I have a theory about Poborgi. There are a couple of corners here, 7 and then Le Mans, where you can get a slowdown if you cut the corner too severely. So I wonder if that had something to do with his lap time, the last lap. Maybe he cut that inside corner there at Le Mans just a little too much, and I think it's somewhere around 7 to 8 tenths of time that you have to give up, which is never 7 or 8 tenths. It usually ends up being about double that. So that could have contributed to his lack of pace in the last lap.
Yeah, and easy to get right there. You just saw Lebivi going through the corner that Charles was talking to you about. You saw him get a little loose and have to counter steer there. And if you get a little too loose, you can actually kind of unintentionally slide and tighten your radius through there. Just one wheel on the inside of that curb is a pretty big slowdown. And here is Van Wagner. They're providing some action. Going to try the inside of Sunset on Dylan. And Dylan says, hard pass. You go, boy. Wants nothing to do with that. And that is going to put Van Wagner up into P11. And good work by Van Wagner. That is a plus 10 for him. So as Van Wagner approaches the top 10, has picked up 10 positions from qualifying, and he may be one of these drivers, Charles, who is patient, who is kind to those tires, and his tires could be paying him back down the stretch right now.
Yeah, absolutely. He took a very aggressive line through Sunset at that time. So yeah, it feels like he's still got some life left in those tires that he can call upon for this. As we see Velasco looking to the inside here on Bali. Is he going to know? He's not going to hold it. He's going to hold off. He's not going to try and make that move, but you can see he's ready to get by. I think he's ready to get up there to that final step on the podium, and he's just looking for the right way to go about it.
Yeah, and whatever clock is in Velasco's head has hit triple zeros. He is ready to go, and I'm not sure that Bali is going to be able to stop him. Almost trying the inside of Le Mans here. Velasco getting a little impatient here. Certainly is going to have a run and have the draft down the Ullman Straight and have a crack at Bali going into Sunset, but tries to go side by side through the first part of Le Mans. That could have ended in disaster, and look at that run that Velasco is getting out of Le Mans. Bali moving over, trying to squeeze him up against the wall, and it is too little too late. Velasco through and is going to have a clean run through Sunset. That will put Velasco up in P3, so it's Viceroy from Poborgi from Velasco, but Bali still has life here. And a very washed out line there from Velasco. May have overcooked those tires fighting back there when maybe he shouldn't have. And Bali gets a draft. Bali going to try the inside of turn 1, side by side in turn 1. This is the moment I've been waiting for. And Velasco manages to hang on the outside line. And everybody here needs to take a breath. There is 3.5 minutes left. That's probably going to translate into about 2 more laps. And those tires have got to last those 2 laps, or everything you've been working here for, Velasco, could go to naught. So hang on, baby, you're almost there. Yeah.
And saw Bali get a little wide coming out of coming through 4 and 5, jumped the curb a little bit, so that kind of stalled his momentum out. And that gave Velasco an extra tenth. And we'll see if Velasco, now that we're in the kind of the technical section of the track, he can pull a little bit of a gap. It was a great attempt by Bali to try and to work that front straight to make that move down into 1, but obviously I think the outside line there, I think, just works a little better for these cars in particular. I don't think you can just take that tight inside line at turn 1 unless you're just really, really brave and make that stick. As we see Duvall there fighting with somebody that could not see who that was. That is could not catch a number on that car. But Duvall obviously losing positions there in that battle. That might have been Chris Lang. I'm not really sure, but they're both down in that area together. So I'm going to assume that that's probably who that was. But just that's not really a place that you want to fight coming out of 1 down into 2 and 3. It's just a really tightened area of the track, and unless you're got a really good head of steam to make that move to the inside, probably not the way you want to approach that set of corners.
And here comes Corwin with Labivy in tow. Labivy going to have a nice draft here if he gets through Sunset clean, and we may see another contested entry. There's the white flag. The white flag is out. And again, we see somebody washing out of Sunset there, and Corwin will have the inside line into turn 1, but it looks like Labivy has the better run. But Labivy going to back out, or is he? I think he's a little tentative there, Charles, deciding whether or not to take it to Corwin into turn 1, and that may have been his best chance here. He's going to have a couple more cracks, and is he going to roll the dice and make a run at him down into turn 7, the hairpin? We haven't seen a lot of successful moves there. You got to be very brave on the brakes, and at this point, I'm going to say Labivy is a little too far back.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't think he's going to have a chance to make a move there. As you can see him just kind of working his way through, and that little bit of trepidation he had in 1 might have been because he saw what happened to Corwin through Sunset, and it's like, oh, if he washes if he washes out again, I'm in serious trouble here on the outside. So that might have been the reason that he didn't kind of go full chat through 1, trying to get that run down into 3. As we're on here with the leader, Skylar Vickroy, as he comes out of Le Mans for the last time. He'll head down the Ullman Straight to hopefully approach this checkered flag.
Yeah, Vickroy leading Poborgi now by 4 seconds, and 5 seconds back of Poborgi in P3 sits Velasco. So Vickroy, all he needs to do is roll through Sunset Bend one more time here, turn 17 on a very challenging, hot and bumpy Sebring. But Vickroy, no problem, flag to flag winner here off of the pole, and completely drives away with it. He did get some pressure from Danush at a couple of points during that race, but that pressure was not sustainable, and Vickroy opened that gap up again. And here's that fight between Labivy and Corwin again washing out of Sunset, and this time Labivy gonna cash in. That will put him up into P6. So after defending against Labivy for probably more than half of this race, Corwin finally runs out of traction, takes the wide line out of Sunset, completely washes out, and Labivy makes him pay. And my goodness, good work by Labivy, and kind of relentless pressure finally caught up. And here is Trantham and Grunsky here. Trantham trying to make something happen through Sunset, takes that bumpy inside line. You see him struggling putting the power down. Almost has something going there, but not quite. Oof. Very close finish between those two cars. And folks, these guys are fighting for P17 there. That was a 4-car fight with about 2.5 seconds between those 4 competitors. So that's just the kind of racing that we get here in these F3 races. They are racing for the marbles in every position, everywhere in the grid, and great stuff as always. So it looks like we've got maybe one more car on course, and we're going to have the results for you. And man, oh man, Charles, what a challenge driving out here on the surface of the sun in South Florida. And these drivers, particularly Vickroy up front, rose to the occasion. Oh, medic! And there goes Neil Day, and that's the end of his day. His day is going to end with a little over rotation and Sunset there, and a trip to the medical tent after that one, blowing the left side suspension off of that F4 car, and he is not going to make the finish. So that might put Mikovits ahead of him, even though he's 4 laps back. And here comes Vickroy again on his cool down lap. And Vickroy, what a race by him.
I think it's time to make the donuts. There we go. And yeah, so great race by Vickroy. Start to finish win, got a good jump at the start and held on to it. Like you said, Poborgi gave him a good run through about the first half, 2/3 of the race, but Vickroy able to just keep keep the pressure off of his back and just continue to put down solid laps, and walks away from with the win. So congrats to him. Paborgi as well. Velasco, great P3, and Stephen Case did end up 13 positions. Or, I'm sorry, up 15 positions to finish 13th.
Yeah, Case on a mission there, and was looking good, as I said, for a top 5, but just overcooked that hairpin one time and had to sit patiently and watch all those hard games positions stream back past him, fought his way back to 13. But there are your results. Viceroy with a dominant drive there from pole will take the win, followed by Paborgi and Blasco rounding out your podium. Then it's Bali, Eggert, Lebivi with that last-minute pass on Corwin, Lopez, Brashear, and Justin Snyder will round out your top 10. And I should be trying to pay attention to those teams, but a little bit too much for my old brain right now. We'll do better next week on that. But Aaron Van Wagner will come in P11, then Dylan, Stephen Case after that double recovery drive from the back a couple of times will be in P13. Then it's Cook, Posada, Molina, Grinsky, and Jason Trantham in P18. And we'll give that a little scroll. We'll have Duvall, Cardenas rounding out the top 20. Then Wang, Hagen, Day. And now we're actually Day. I should mention the first car off the lead lap, a lap down. You saw how his race ended with a severe headache and a busted up car. Then it's Mikovits in 25, Conway, Cotcher, De Silva, and Green. And the couple of those drivers at the bottom of that list involved in that tragic turn 3 incident on lap 1. So, whew, man, that was really something. And I have got a full interview room out there. And I'll just go ahead and start with your winner tonight, Skylar Viceroy. And Skylar, I tried to do a little bit of testing out here on the surface of the sun, also known as Sebring. And it was really tough. And judging from the spread of lap times, some of you guys out there were able to cope with this greasy, bumpy track, super hot track, and some weren't. So what was your secret to mastering a red hot Sebring?
Yeah, I mean, it was brutal. Practice this week was a little difficult because it's like, okay, how are we going to, 5-6 laps, tires were hot and sliding around. Patience on the throttle and kind of smoothing the braking out. So I actually backed my braking points up a little bit and be a little more gradual instead of diving it on the brakes. And that seemed to kind of help balance the car a little bit. But it was still very, very sweaty out there and nerve-wracking, but fun nonetheless.
Yeah, I imagine so. And one thing that we have been talking about so far this season with these F3 cars is tire wear. And I was kind of predicting that our rears were going to be going out here at Sebring. We saw a few people start to struggle with rear grip with about 10 minutes remaining. But you managed to keep it chill. And again, I guess that was part of your plan to take care of your tires, maybe drive a little easier. And, that sometimes happens when you're on fuel save or trying to drive easy. For some reason, you end up going faster, but you definitely laid down the gauntlet, had the pace, and did a really good job out there today.
Yeah, thanks. The game plan was I was hoping to qualify up towards the front so I could try to get out in clean air and save the tires. I had Danush kind of hounded me there in the beginning, and I think he burned up his tires a little bit, just being behind, and so it was crucial to get that start. And I know a lot of my main competition in the season so far was not here this week, so I knew I had to take advantage of that and be like, okay, maximum points, what can we do? So I'm sure Steve and Adam will be back next week, and I better get off this the Sebring track and get right back into the next session, which I think is Fuji, if I'm not mistaken, so very heavy on the draft.
Yeah, it is going to be Fuji, the longest straightaway on the schedule, and looking forward to that. And we might as well just go to that. So what are your thoughts about Fuji? And I'll just throw in that every track so far has been a current or former Formula One track, and these F3 cars are doing great on those. So how do you think they're going to do at Fuji?
Yeah, Fuji's good. It'll be, it's a very, with high downforce in that track, it's a lot of fun. The main plan will be, again, very similar to here, but for different reasons, is that you need to qualify well, stay with the front group, because it's hard to pull away from anybody at Fuji unless you've got some crazy lines through the infield. But that draft is so big there. you could be in fifth and pulled all the way to first if you're close enough. So staying out of trouble in turn 1 on the very start, that's goal number 1. Stay in the draft, and then try not to burn up your tires sliding through some of those lower ones.
So Skylar Vicroy, after P1, already has his schedule squared away for Fuji. So Skylar's competitors, you better get busy practicing, because he's ready for you. And Skylar, as we wrap up, is there anyone you would like to thank or give a shout out to today?
Yeah, shout out to everybody that joined the stream today. Thank you so much for coming out and checking out our little racing world and everything else. Shout out to the SMB crew for putting on a great show. And of course, shout out to all of my teammates over at Ava Boom Gaming and ZFG. So shout out to everyone, and I will see you all next week.
All right. Cheers, Skylar. Great drive, and we'll see you at Fuji.
Thanks, guys.
All right, Charles, assuming that your computer is not going to melt tonight as it did about this time last night, let's go ahead and bring in Alex Velasco and get his perspective on the race.
Yeah, let's bring Alex in here. Alex, congratulations, P3. Tonight had a really good battle for a large part of the race with Braun Bali. So talk about it from your perspective.
Woo! We made it. Yeah, happy to finish P3. Battling Braun was a challenge and a half. I was looking for the right opportunity. I couldn't see anything. I thought, you know what, maybe I'll just get a draft on close to the final lap, and I'll get past him, and we'll be good to go. But he did make a mistake earlier in the lap, and I just went for it, and it stuck, and I just had to defend a couple of laps to make sure he doesn't pass me back. Yeah, it was a fun experience. Would recommend you guys drive this car and track combo. It's a heavy one.
I will tell you, this is one of my favorite car track combos on iRacing. I love the F3 cars here at Sebring, but I'm not necessarily sure I'd want to do it at 55 Celsius track temps that you guys had to deal with today. So we've talked about tire wear the last couple of races, and it looked like the rears especially, and it looked like it was even more pronounced tonight. Is that what you were seeing as well?
Yeah, I was seeing that in practice. I had ruined my tires during practice. I got down to like 70 within 20 minutes. And I'm looking at my tire percentage remaining. I only went down to 80%, so I made sure I was focused on saving those tires for towards the end of the race, because this temperature, you're gonna be sliding everywhere, and that's the way you be fast. But you have to understand you're not gonna be fast towards the end of the race.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's exactly what we saw. You did a great job tonight. So we got Fuji coming up next week. So what are your thoughts about that?
I hope it is not extremely humid, because that makes that track extremely hard. Other than that, it's a draft heavy track. You need to get with somebody that has similar pace to you, and don't over push the car, and it should be a good time.
Go. All right, Alex, congratulations. We'll let you give any thanks or shout outs before we let you go celebrate your podium tonight.
Let's say Jason, because he's a fantastic partner in this team race that we have going. And you, Charles, and JR, and Mike, you guys have been doing an awesome job here. And I'd like to thank my sim equipment for not failing on me. That's a big one.
Yes, absolutely. Alex, congratulations again. Thanks for the kind words as well, and we'll see you next week at Fuji.
Sounds good. Thank you, gents.
All right, that was Alex Velasco, who pulled a P3, and for some reason I'm not able to drag him, so he'll drag himself. Sweet. Okay, so that was your P3 finisher, Alex Velasco, and I'll go ahead and see if I can get Joshua Corwin in here. And Josh, a pretty good drive today. You've qualified P11, managed to pick up 4 positions in very, very difficult conditions, actually picked up 5, and your tires had enough of you by the last lap, particularly in Sunset. You washed out a little bit and let Labivy through, but very, very tough race and a great result for anybody who got through this in the top 10. So how was it out there driving on the surface of the sun here tonight at Sebring?
It was very low traction, almost like skating on ice. Yeah, me and Labivy had a really good battle the whole race. Swapping positions, and then he made a pretty big error in the last corner. I gained like 1.6 seconds on him, and I was like, all right, just settle down. And then I mess up the next complex, and he's right back on my tail. And then I suspected he dropped off for a bit, and he sure enough did. And in the last 2 laps, he reeled me back in and was able to push past to get me for P6. But I'll take P7 in a race like this, and it was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, it looked like you guys were having fun, and definitely a fantastic drive. And what was your? A couple people have mentioned tire strategies. So did you have a tire conservation strategy heading into this one? Probably knowing that it was going to be really hard on tires, particularly the rears.
Just easy on the throttle. Wait till you're straight. Try not to slide the car too much, and then just anticipate when the drop off happens and adjust accordingly. A lot of times. You can get caught up when the drop happens, and then you're not prepared for it, and that's when you spin or have a really big off that loses you a couple positions and a lot of time.
Wow, and listen to Josh there, kids. That is an excellent pro tip, is anticipating that sudden loss of traction that can happen toward the end of these and being ready for it and reacting appropriately. So a really great tip, Josh, for our viewers and people learning to deal with these F3 cars. So thank you so much for hanging around and having a chat with us. And as we conclude, is there anyone you would like to shout out or give thanks to tonight?
SRG and Jason Cotcher and Tyler Hagan, of course. My girl who's watching from Texas, Ashley. My folks who tune in every week. And then I got my buddy Rob from Z-Car Garage. He's tuning in as well. And then I got, why am I blanking? I'm sorry, but I can't believe I'm blanking on your name. It's all the adrenaline. Jesus Christ. What the hell is my problem?
Well, I think
Corey.
a lot of people can get behind thanking that guy. I'm sorry, did you come up with it?
Yeah, my buddy Corey. He's gonna give me a hard time for that one. He's watching from Seattle.
Oh, awesome. Okay, so he is in my neck of the woods, and we had your helmet up for a while, and now your epic picture through the SDK software is displayed on the screen, so everybody can see the man behind the helmet there. So yeah, great drive again, Josh. Thanks for coming in and seeing us, and we will see you next week at Fuji.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
All right, and once again, I'm not sure what's going on with my Discord's lack of Discord skills. Josh, I'll have to ask you to bail on your own, which he did. And Charles, I have got Chris Wang for you next.
Hey, Chris Wang, welcome in. So rough day at the office, finishing in P21, down 4 positions from the start. So let's talk about your race a little bit. How did you find the racing action out there today?
Hey guys, yeah. I was joking a little bit earlier with some other people. Chris from before the race would want to kill Chris of right now, because before the race, I was thinking I bought Sebring like this week. I knew it was gonna be super hot, super bumpy. It's a tough track, and I was thinking to myself, all right, just stay clean, stay calm, turn your laps, and you'll probably do pretty well. And because a few times during the race, I just, oh, there's a gap. I'm gonna try going into that gap. Oh, that was a mistake.
Yeah, that is a kind of a learning process, especially when you're on the track for a very, very little amount of time. So now that you've had your go at Sebring, what do you think about it?
Not my favorite. Some of it's probably just getting used to it, and the fact that the track was blazing today. But yeah, I can see why some people like it though. There's a lot of variety of corner types. And a lot of almost like free form-ish. That could just be because I'm bad at the corners, but I feel like a lot of the corners have a few different ways of attacking them. So I can see why people like it, but not for me quite yet.
not yeah, you'll get there. Like I said, this is one of my favorite combinations. It does take, there is a little bit of a learning curve to figure out how to drive this, and I'm sure that you'll get it, and you'll be winning official races here in no time. So next week we have Fuji. So have you spent any time there, or is this going to be one of those that it's going to be another learning experience for you?
I have spent some time in Fuji in a few different cars, not the F3 yet, but I do generally like it. I am a little bit scared because I found I have a tendency to lock the rears in like heavy braking zones, and there's a few big heavy braking zones in Fuji that are really important. So I'll have to make sure to work on that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, Chris, thanks for stopping in, and we'll let you give any thanks or shout outs, and we'll let you go get ready for next week.
Yeah, thank you. It's been a pleasure, and I want to thank you guys as always. I always love watching the broadcast, and I watch the F4 broadcast too now on Tuesday. Also want to thank the Captain Cotcher, Jason, Tyler, and Alex, the kind of SRG lead admin guys. They do a great job, and love. I used to go in person. Now I'm a full-time drive from home, but
there you go.
Always love driving with these guys.
All right. Well, Chris, thanks again for stopping in, and we'll see you next week.
All right. See ya.
All right, that was Chris Wang, and good news, folks. Neil Day has been cleared by the Sebring medical staff after that huge shunt out of Sunset on the last lap. Neil, I'm sure you might have a little bit of a headache, but how was it driving on this roasting hot Sebring today?
Yeah, it was good. Just keep it, not trying to go 10 so I'm just going like as fast as I can without losing grip.
Yeah, well, a solid drive. It's very fast guys out here, very competitive field, but you still managed to gain 4 positions in this one. So work well done, and looking forward at the schedule. Another Formula One track next week down in Japan. We're heading to Fuji. So what are your thoughts about attacking that one?
Yeah, Fuji's more technical. But I feel more at home on Fuji because the surface is better. So, and I've done it before, so I'm more familiar. For some reason, Sebring compared to Fuji is always just you're trying to find your bearings on Sebring because the surface is so rough. But on Fuji, it's very predictable.
Yeah, absolutely. And Fuji cobbled together from old runways and really more of a sports car track. So very difficult in these open wheelers, to be sure. All right. Well, Neil, thank you so much for stopping by and chatting with us. And as we wrap up, is there anyone you'd like to thank or give a shout out to tonight?
Yeah, I'd like to give a shout out to Jason and the entire group at SRG. Always like racing with them. Very nice group of people to race with.
All right, fantastic. Well, Neil, thanks again for stopping by, and we will see you next week in Japan.
Thank you.
All right. Well, that is going to conclude our interviews. Kind of had a clown car set up with a lot of people coming in and talking to us, and we do appreciate it. It does sound like a great group of folks out there, and you can see the kind of community that has bonded together over racing these open wheelers, starting in F4, now up in this inaugural season of F3 racing by Sim Racers Group. So absolutely great to see. And we are not just about these open wheelers here. However, on SMB, I want to tell you what is coming up. And on Saturday, we'll have Weekend Warriors Formula Vs at Cadwell Park. That is going to be a fantastic race, followed by Ron's Race Nights, which will see iRacing official top split action with Legends cars at Knock Hill. And then Sunday, a Weekend Warriors double feature as Spec Racer Fords will throw down at Lime Rock and Formula Fords will battle at Watkins Glen. Later that same evening, XSLR returns with GT3 action from Phillip Island. And if you love these cars, you might as well come out and check out their little brothers next Tuesday. We'll have more Sim Racers Group action with F4s at Mosport. And in 1 week's time, the F3 inaugural season marches on at Fuji. So wow, what a race, and you do not want to miss it. You don't want to miss any of the action here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. I want you to go ahead and hit that subscribe button and then hit the notification icon to make sure that you don't miss any of the action. And I am JR Gregory on behalf of myself, my partner Charles Boshell, our producer, the great Mike Braun, and everyone here at SMB. Thank you so much for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your evening wherever you are, and hang on, baby. Friday's coming.